What? I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I muted myself. Anyways, hold on to something.
Hey, it's ECW. Last time you saw me, I was reviewing My Furry Protogen, also known as the weirdest game I've ever played. And that blew up out of proportion, like out of nowhere. So, I'm gonna be fulfilling the demand that you guys have for a second review. But first, we need to recap the first story. And before we do that, let me discuss a few things. Number one, me and my friend, Ebroni, played through the first half together. However, I wanted to get this out of the door as soon as possible, so I did the second half all by myself. Censoring the images and playing the patch was a nightmare, so I hope you enjoy this video. The person who called me daddy. You sick freak. And number three, finally, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I'm planning to do reviews again. And the next game in line is probably Bubble Bobble or some crap. I need a break from visual novels because I was playing this for like 5 days in a row. Without further ado, a summary of My Furry Protogen 1. So you are a chosen one who breaks away from his village due to the fact that he's tired of being coddled. He runs into the forest and meets up with a protogen known as Juno. Juno and him have a few shortcomings, but they get to know each other very well, to the point where they become romantically involved with each other. Do not ask me how a protogen doesn't get pregnant from a human. They got similar genes. They should have, considering Meowscles and Lynx made Kit and Cat, but that's a whole different story. They discover a bioweapon that is eating away at the Chosen One's world. So they study it. During Juno's studies, the Chosen One gets worried about their home village and decides to visit it. And spoiler warning, massive spoilers, his village is dead. He checks to see where his parents are, only to find his mother on her deathbed. The Chosen has a heart-to-heart with his mother. His mother saying it wasn't his fault, it was the village's, and dies. I'm not kidding. Racked with grief, he returns to Juno, where she reveals that the cure is mutating out of control. The Chosen One makes a decision. The anomaly must die. So he sets course and leaves to fight the anomaly. He is immediately surrounded by dead animals once he gets there, and his bones break. He is thought to be left out to die.
ECW.
But Juno comes back.
Oh god, I shouldn't have let you go alone. Don't worry, I can fix this. Just hold in there, I know you can.
And heals the Chosen One. She managed to make a cure. However, it was too late for the Chosen One's planet. With a final goodbye to a place he once called home, he grabs Juno's hand as they watch his planet crumble to pieces and explode. Sorry for the whole dramatic change in tone, but I did not want to leave it on a cliffhanger of a bad ending, because I wanted people to play this, but apparently people want me to cover it instead, so since people want more Juno, I shall comply. Massive spoiler warning.
EC, could we hurry it up a little?
Right. This is the weirdest sequel. So the beginning of the second game starts us off with eating breakfast with your parents. This is a similar setup to how the first one opened up, except your parents are talking about somebody you love. No names are said at first, so you'd assume they're talking about one of the girls in your village. But when they mention Juno, the alien protogen that they should not know about, the player gets a weird feeling in their chest, like heart palpitations. This is a lucid dream, and a nightmare at the same time. I should have said a lucid nightmare, but yeah. He opens the door to his house. His desolate village awaits. The same black plague that took over his world covers his village once again. A complete repeat of the day it all went wrong. He wakes up in a cold sweat. It's been 2 years since the incident. Juno's gone from his side. He asks the ship's computer... God damn it, I forgot to mention this last time. Juno's ship has an AI, and its name is Pixie. It'll do anything you want it to, and is sometimes witty. It's not really an important character. Hell, I barely mentioned it because it has no sprite. So the main character asks Pixie where Juno is, and Pixie stalls, asking why the player character is panicked.
I just woke up.
The player character
Don't worry
responds by
about it.
saying he just woke up.
I see.
Pixie then tells you that Juno is in the lab.
Sup, Juno? How's the work in the virus going?
OECW. You startled me for a sec. It's going as well as it has.
Juno and you meet up, and immediately you can tell that something's different about her. Juno has had a redesign or reorientation since the last game. For example, it has an ear piercing and a cyan accent tone to her armor. Not only that, but she has different outfits for every occasion. For cold climates, warm climates, leisure wear. She even has a birthday suit with the 18 plus patch only. On a side note, nowhere in the game is that like, you know, thing used. And there's like sprites of her where she's holding the gun naked. When are they gonna use that? Oh yeah, and a few new facial expressions. The player asks Juno how long she's been up for. She answers with, she was studying the fauna of a recent expedition while you were asleep. Juno tells the player that they should eat breakfast first, as of course breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and the player character says that eating before training will just make him feel stuffy. Juno says to meet her in the training room in a few. In the training room, Juno goes over exercises and spars with you. You lose since she was biologically enhanced. This makes you reasonably feel weak. Like, you know, obviously. For 2 years, you've practiced against Juno and lost every time. You cannot best Juno, but you want to prove your worth to her. After training, you two go and eat lunch or breakfast or brunch or whatever it is. She tells you that they're going to visit her sister tomorrow, and they spend the rest of the day playing either Pavlov's Shack or VR Chat, or the Bone Lab Fusion mod, which allows you to play multiplayer. Honestly, I have no clue what game they're playing. After the long gaming sesh, Juno casually roasts how your species were never able to make video games. By accident. She notices her mistake and backtracks on it. She then entices you to bed with the wanting to try something with ropes. Fade to black, you guys just
settle it in smash
and fell asleep. The next day comes and the both of you land on Juno's sister's planet that she resides on. The player character wonders, why is the planet barren? Did the virus attack here? No. This is just the Fallout universe if the Enclave gassed the entire United States and themselves. Nothing living exists besides Juno's sister, of course. The reason it became so barren was due to the folly of whatever species roamed here. They all nuked each other into the ground, and thus their planet became a literal dump. You get closer to the sister's house, and you knock. She answers the door and invites the two of you inside. We are introduced to the sleeker protogen. Xena, Juno's younger sister, is an engineer protogen. Much like Juno, she was born a war pig, but now works as an engineer, which probably means she worked as a medic for the army of protogens. She is described to have a quick temper, but jokes around a lot. She also makes stuff, and she is getting a spin-off based entirely on her. I discovered this mid-script write. Anyways, Xena hands Juno over some new stuff she either made or bought for Juno. Like armor, a brand new awesome sword, some toys which are never revealed, which I find odd, and a weird 6-pack of a beverage. It's blueberry soda, and you recreate the medieval peasant drinking Mountain Dew me. Juno asks for a girl talk with her sister and for you to carry all the heavy gear back. You obliged, but you have second thoughts. Those thoughts being that either Xena was going to tell Juno that they shouldn't be together, or that Juno would probably talk crap about you behind your back. I know the feeling. So after you drag the stuff into the jet, you wait for Juno. She comes back and has a sad expression on her face. You ask her what is wrong. Apparently, she was very talkative. Xena was. The two of you then exit the planet's atmosphere. You then set course to the planet you're about to study and land on said planet. You encounter weird alien beings, luscious jungles, and the well-expected beach episode where the anomaly resides. The anomaly is given shape and form in this game, being a beacon with symbols on it. It kind of looks...
That looks like a dildo.
I mean, come on, look at it. Approaching it would mean certain deaths, so Juno calls in an RCXD. It's a drone. I'm taking creative liberties, piloted by Pixie to defuse the thing. Meanwhile, while it does its thing, your character and Juno participate in the first ever ECW Plays Beach episode, with quote-unquote fan service galore. After the two of you are done playing with Legos on the beach, Juno retrieves the device, and good news, it's been shut off by the RCXD. Juno studies the device for a few minutes, and comes to the conclusion that there are, in fact, several devices on the planet. So your character comes up with the idea of splitting up to attack two objectives at once. Juno, full-heartedly, thinks your plan could kill the both of them. You and her argue, before coming to the realization that they should do this quickly before the relationship gets torn apart. So that's what the two of you do. Split off and attack the devices. After your character defuses their assigned device, Pixie tells you that Juno has entered combat mode and might need assistance. You freak out and you rush your way over to her. And here comes the most coolest and hardest image I have seen yet in a visual novel. So the both of you fight off this hentacle tentai creature, and she holds you in her arms after that near-death experience. The two of you get back on board after saving the planet, and stuff happens. And by stuff, I mean...
Sex.
Jesus Christ, I should stop with these jokes. I'm not Dumpsville. The player character then has a whole nightmare about the entire situation. A what-if dream. He dreams of himself being sent on the shuttle, being shipped away from Juno as she is consumed by the beast, as a way of sacrificing herself for you. He feels guilt, pain, remorse, a whole cocktail of emotions for not being able to save her. Then he wakes up. He wakes up to find Juno missing again. He panics a little, thinking that the dream was reality, but only like a teeny tiny amount of second opinion was there to screw with him. He asks Pixie for Juno again. Pixie locates Juno in the lab. Pixie asks if he needs to eat breakfast. Our player character tells Pixie that no, in fact, that he is fine. Just needs to see Juno. Pixie warns him that if she scolds him, don't say it didn't warn him. And the player character rushes off. Juno is in the lab looking over results. You come up behind her, pulling your arms around her. She asks if you slept well, and you lie. Can I go on another rant here? Why lie? If I was the character, I would be explaining to Juno like this. Hey Juno, I've been experiencing bad dreams with loss involved.
Can you go into detail?
Like I'm experiencing dreams where I lose you, my family, mental trauma stuff.
If you want, we can talk about it together.
Yes, thank you. Do I say something deep? Like that! But why tell the truth when you can hurt the nice robot furry lady, yeah, right? Right? Anyways, Juno doesn't believe you and you interrupt her with, "It's okay." Really. I dreamt of something stupid and that made me agitated. It was about that spicy pizza we had 6 months ago. Why lie? That is the stupidest lie in ever. Juno woke up a few hours ago, and now she needs to work on a summary about the bioweapon. Turns out a chunk of progress was made, confirming that the devices do in fact connect and communicate with one another. Basically, if none of the devices affect each other, but they will be notified if one goes down. They don't run with artificial intelligences, but instead algorithms. And these devices, including the ones on your planet, were planted on purpose. There isn't a way to discover who did it just yet, at least not while they're in sleep mode. And obviously, turning them back on would mean instant death, so the only way to test it is to use it on a barren planet with no other life. And she doesn't want to do that just yet. The devices are powered via life force, Juno explains. However, I noticed that it seems like the devices siphon life force from the planet to make a battery of some sorts. What remains unexplained is that why the wildlife on your planet was getting infected instead of dying to the device. The devices, when turned on, give more answers than when they aren't. Too long didn't read. It works in different ways to affect different planets, but still works as a battery, sucking life force from a planet to work as an energy container. So Juno not only discovers that the devices connect to one another, but they connect to other planets that other devices inhabit. The nearest planet with the devices is called Planet Wire. After that briefing, Juno suggests breakfast. Pixie narked on you. I find that hilarious. And thus you prepare for the snow day ahead of you. Excited to go out onto the snow with Juno, and you get covered in snow up to your waist. I hate that feeling. I hate being cold, I hate being covered in snow, but I do love the winter season. Juno says you won't be here for long, despite this part of the game being pretty long. In fact, I was about to complete it, but then I accidentally saved over the save file, which kind of screwed over things. The two of you locate the devices all around the planet. Juno plays mother with you, making sure you don't go missing or fall through the snow. You get quickly winded trying to go through the cold, and all you can think about is the warmth of the jet. Which begs the question, does any of you celebrate Christmas or Life Day or whatever the hell it's called? The first device is in a cave inside of a mountain. Once inside the cave, the both of you try to locate the device. You ask reasonably why the device would be hiding when in fact the devices on the last planet were right in plain sight. Juno responds with the rebuttal of,
Intelligent beings leave it here. If those beings found out where the device was, it would be easily disabled.
you completely bypass the device and now have to retrace steps to find it. The device hid itself behind pretty blue crystals. Juno sends in the RCXD and it disables the device. Juno explains that it was hidden there to feed off the planet itself. A backup plan if the others were found first. There are more devices here than on the previous planet due to the risk of being discovered. Which, if you ask me, is a pretty smart move by whoever's leaving these devices. Your player character wonders why it was red in the cave when he went to go to take it down back in the first game. And Juno equates it to being different phases at different periods of time. The closer to collapse the planet is, the more red the hues turn on the device. But why purple of all colors? It feels like a calling card! You and Juno then retreat back to the jet and look for the next 5 devices after resting up. The 6th one you will observe up close. After the 4th device is turned off, you get uptight with her, but not like in that kind of way. Like the things she does, not her general attitude. Like she's studying fauna, flora, geology along the way. Meanwhile, you are not built for the task of trekking Anchorage, Alaska from Fallout 3. Juno checks in on you, and you are about to burst with rage. She tells you that there's only 30 more minutes until they reach the device. She then genuinely asks if you want to be carried. But then your character gets mad despite the fact you weren't being mocked. She says okay, but to let her know if you need anything, if you get winded. The player character is wondering how the hell Juno is still standing and cheery despite trekking through the Alaskan terrain. Juno responds with
Nanomachines, son.
Genomes. She was genetically modified, so she has more stamina. They then talk about research teams and stuff. Honestly, it's just world building. I don't want to spoil everything. That's why I didn't cover the ending last time. The player character asks why she isn't bored with primitives such as yourself.
Addicted to my dumb, uneducated, math-struggling Neanderthal cock.
For context, you've seen the video. I don't have to explain crap to you. Juno is shocked and says,
What do you mean by that? You insert incel for joke shamelessly plugging your past work on this channel such as Fortnite, Random, and Operation Ghost Racer. You're the nicest guy I know, even if you're a creep.
And our character does confirm that Juno is, in fact... Why the hell did I write this? I wrote this at like 3 a.m. What the hell? A MILF Protogen. She reassures you that she loves you and wants nothing else than to make this work and complete the mission. She envies your determination. She admires how much you want to uphold the mission. And you kind of reveal that you got it from losing your homeworld. The next day comes, they go to locate the 6th device to conduct a study on. A loud scream can be heard.
Fucking cow!
You and Juno are startled by the creature's noise and decide to make a quick detour to it. She pulls out her piece, and you both run toward the sound. Turns out the creature was akin to something like Juno. sans the armor and visor. It wore a robe of animal fur, and its fur was like a tealish green. It was in combat with a black-furred beast. Juno intervenes and...
How do the Americans put it? Oh yes, bust a cap in yo ass.
basically scaring off the beast that the creature was fighting. You and Juno administer aid to the creature, and thus you are introduced to the third member of the EC crew. Meet Lance. He's a furry. Yeah, that's all I gotta say as of right now. He's a furry. I think the artist kind of screwed him up a little bit, but... And it works. It grows on you. He's cool in my books. At first, he talks in babbles, or to you, it's babbles. Juno then bumps into your elbow, signifying that, hey, turn on your translator, that way you can speak to him. Lance then asks where you guys came from. She introduces us to him, and says that they come in peace. And then you blurt out something stupid along the lines of, yes. He asks if Juno is a protogen. Everyone is surprised to see that Lance knows what robots are. He says that a protogen came around like 5 years ago. He stayed in the village for a while. He then turns to you and says that he's never seen a human before. He asks for your name, and you tell him your name and species. He then asks where the hell your fur went. You tell him you don't have fur. If you can tell, I kind of like both Lance and Juno. Lance as a friend, Juno as a friend. You know, the beast he was fighting was known as a Shia, and Lance was its next meal. You ask Lance if he's a bro. He is. Commence the bro bump. He basically asked if he was male, yeah. And then he calls you short and a teenager. You assure him that you are in fact an adult, and that being 5'9" is the standard, and that you aren't a manlet. I can make this joke because once in my life I was 5'9". Juno asks how old Lance is. He responds with being born 17 Agus years ago. Just kidding, my headcanon voice is White Follows Chalk from Fallout New Vegas' Honest Hearts. You tell him of your mission, and he tags along. The EC crew heads off towards the beacon device. You, Lance, and Juno spend the next few days tracking down the device. It's a long trek, but you guys relocate into a nearby cave system where the device is located. They set up a bonfire and sit close to it. They go more into detail about the device and the mission to Lance, since he asked so kindly. He had suspicions about the device. It shouldn't be killing wildlife, and his suspicions were right. He asks you if your planet was taken by the virus. You say yes. You tell him about being the chosen one, being coddled and cared for, being micromanaged in front of an entire village. You tell him about finally snapping and choosing your... And holy damn, I had a joke in the original script for My Furry Protogen that said something about interspecies relationships being bestiality and like getting space STDs or worse.
Space rabies.
But it's commonplace since beings can consent, and I guess there's like drugs against it. So nothing is impossible. Juno defends a relationship with her when it is questioned by Lance. Lance says he has no lover, which is highly unrealistic. He could pull chicks, alright?
That's right, space rabies. One bite, and it's agonizing death in 15 seconds.
Time passes and Juno wakes you up. You fell asleep. Pixie is collecting data still. and Lance is resting up in the jet. Juno calls your acts selfless, trying to relieve your stress, but you think it's selfish, since you've been forcing her to resolve anomalies. She corrects you, saying that she was doing that before she met you. You then turn your worries onto Lance. She reassures you that everything is fine and that you can't control everything. After a while, she asks if you're cold. You say yeah. She then gives you a heated blanket and a warm glass of milk. You get too excited and you spill it all over. She laughs. Then the both of you hear a signal from Pixie. The study has been concluded. Time to pack up. Just then, you both are attacked by 3 beasts. Juno pulls out her rifle. It starts blasting. The beasts die and leave blue blood oozing out of them. They were infected with the same virus from your home planet. And that's where I'm gonna cut it off, because if I work on this project, it's probably gonna take another month, and then I won't have anything for Fortnite, I won't have anything for Random, and I won't have anything for Operation Ghost Racer. Plus, I have a not-so-secret, kind of thing I have. It's another ECW takeover, and this time, you're just gonna have to wait for that. The story was phenomenal. Make me wonder what happened next, and it genuinely pulled on my heartstrings. 9 out of 10. Art again was pretty outstanding. Credit to Zad for making all the sprites. The music, again, serves its purpose, and I found the composers this time. Antti Luode and Alina Smirnova. Sorry, I got Smirnov from that episode of Family Guy. And that's us right now. Why are we rushing? We are recruiting our alternate selves, starting with K-17 and Axo. We need all the help we can get. This is a weird nightclub. Why is there just this door that leads into it? Oh God. I can barely read any of it, but sure, why not? Free money.